How's it going, everybody? Nerds Rising here, and welcome back to the Nerd Cave. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some more Ultra League battles, and this time, the Mon on show is going to be Aggron. Now, Aggron, this is not a new Pokemon by any means. This is not some secret weapon that you guys absolutely have to build. It is, in fact, probably one of the most RPS Pokemon in the Ultra League, and really in any league, and it's just really difficult to use. And the reason being, it is just so RPS that it virtually has no flexibility. So if you get it locked into something like a Charizard or a Pidgeot or a Fairy type, an Ice type, you're going to completely obliterate your opponent. But at the same time, if you get locked into a Swampert or a Cobalion or Registeel, like pretty much like all the top meta, honestly, just completely destroys it. And it does not matter, even if you have 2 shields and the opponent has 0, you're still not going to beat a Swampert. There's just no way. So this is kind of one of those use at your own risk teams. The team itself actually did okay for me. I went 15 and 26 on the day and gained about 70 elo. But the reason I built it was simply just because, number one, there are no XL Mons on this team. It's not super expensive. All of them are fairly accessible, and I was just trying to have some fun. What I really wanted to do was hunt down some Charizards, but as always, when you build a team like this that relies on Aggron getting locked into the Charizard, it just like never happens. I think I only beat maybe 2 Charizards with the Aggron, but it was still a lot of fun. And you're going to see Aggron with Meteor Beam sweep some teams, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I really think if you're wanting to use this team, I would say that probably the MVP of the team is actually going to be Snorlax, because Snorlax is one of the OG safe swaps. I haven't used it for quite a while, but it is just still super strong, guys. It's bulky, and you can pretty much take Switch or Shield Advantage, usually a Shield Advantage from just about anything in the game. So keep that in mind. If you want to use the team, it is tricky to use. It definitely is an RPS team, but it is a lot of fun. So let's get right into the battles here. I'm not going to show you PV Poke today, just because it made my last video like over 30 minutes long, so I don't want to do that every single time. But yeah, let's just get into it here. First battle, we have a Ampharos here on the lead, and Ampharos is fairly neutral, so I will be wanting to safe switch out of here at some point, but I do like to stay in and at the very least try to get a shield from the opponent. So I tank their first move. I'm going to throw just before they make it to their next, and then I will try to catch on Snorlax. And Snorlax is here to draw out that best answer to Aggron and back, and also just to be my 3rd and 4th and 5th shield, because it's just so thick, guys. Look at that Thunder Punch, just did absolutely nothing. And unfortunately here, it's not really drawing out anything that the Aggron doesn't want to see. In fact, Aggron actually has a pretty nice Guzzlord matchup, but at the very least, we're tanking all this damage, and we might even be able to get a shield, because I'm imagining 2 superpowers would probably KO, so they do respect the first, which makes sense, so that's why I baited there, and we still survive the Claw, and we're going to get off another superpower here. And this, let me see how much damage this does, I forget. So yeah, I think 2 superpowers probably would have KO'd there. So we get a shield advantage, and that's really all that I ask of Snorlax, is just get me a shield advantage, give 2 shields to Aggron, and see what the Aggron can do. So they've come back in with the Empress there, maybe trying to catch, but they were way off. And I do commit 1 shield there, just because I didn't know what they had in back, and I didn't want to get fast move beat down by whatever they had in back. And they do have a Jellicent, and this is another matchup where Aggron just struggles, because these spammy tanks like Jellicent are just going to drastically outpace us. Aggron just really is in desperate need of a better fast move, is really what it needs. It has great charge moves, it just doesn't have the best fast move. If this thing had rollout, it would be meta. I think it would be meta breaking, honestly. But we do make the catch on the Surf there. That was probably my only win con, because now we can just smack down everything else, and that's going to be a GG. The Jellicent, I believe they threw right as they got to the back-to-back, so they're not going to be able to make another Surf. And despite the defense debuff here, we do survive 2 hexes, and that's going to be a GG. So 2 shield Aggron there, with the shield advantage, was able to get it done. And this battle, guys, is probably my favorite one of the entire video, just because this is exactly what I envisioned with the team. Swampert on the lead, they bring in their Charizard safe swap, and 1, 2, 3, I think that's only 3, maybe that's 4 smackdowns, but we just completely obliterate the Charizard. It literally, it gets to 1 move, doesn't even have time to do anything else, and we just completely destroy it with the Aggron. That is exactly what I envisioned, and unfortunately, I think that's the only one that a Charizard safe swap comes into my Aggron. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There are some insane wins in this video, but this is definitely not one of them. This is just RPS City. We RPS them on the lead, we RPS them on the swap, and they're still staying in here with the Swampert, which tells me they're probably weakened back, and yeah, they're double weak to the Dragonite. They have a Venusaur in back. And this battle is actually also a pretty good showcase for just how bulky Snorlax is. I do farm up to what potentially could be a Sludge Bomb. Probably going to be a bait since we have 2 shields, and it is a bait, but that's a Frenzy Plant, guys. Frenzy Plant is one of the hardest hitting moves in the game, and the most energy efficient. And we tank that like it's absolutely nothing. And we tank another one. And Snorlax here is going to make at least 2 body slams and may even make a third. We'll have to see. Can we make a third? And we absolutely can. Snorlax, you thick, thick monster. And yeah, this gives me flashbacks to the time where I was still dating my wife. I think we had been dating for maybe about a year, and she was into Pokemon at the time. We were playing some Pokemon Go together, doing some raids back in like 2016, and I decided to buy her a birthday gift. I bought her a life-size Snorlax plush doll. It was like 6 feet tall, and it was like 120 bucks, and she at the time said she liked it, but then like as soon as we've been dating for a while, she gave it away to my sister. So yeah, don't get your wives and girlfriends, guys, unless you're completely sure that they're gonna like it. Don't buy them a life-size Snorlax plush doll. But yeah, that's my story of the day. And in this battle, we had a Tapu Fini lead, which, by the way, I don't remember if I said this in the intro, but this team has a ton of Corebreakers. There's just a ton of meta things that just completely wreck this team. And Tapu Fini is one of them that the whole team really doesn't love to see. And despite the fact that Snorlax is really our only answer to it, we still kind of have to safe swap the Snorlax, because you just can't safe swap Aggron. It just gets hard beat by so many things. So unfortunately, they did switch out of that matchup, and now somehow our Dragonite here and our Aggron are going to have to find a way to take out this Tapu Fini. It's not going to be easy, so they do bring it back in. I do throw the superpower here. Obviously, you're not going to want to go for the double resisted Dragon Claws here, and now I'm bringing in the Aggron. We did get a shield advantage with the Snorlax, despite the Reggie swap in, which is pretty crazy that Snorlax is able to grab a shield there from the Reggie. But they have a Trevenant in back. I do actually call the bait there. I really thought they would Seed Bomb since we had 2 shields, but they do not. And now, will they respect this Meteor Beam? And they do not respect it. And I will actually shield this now because we need this smackdown damage. And somehow we're going to have to hope that Dragonite is going to be able to take out this Fini. They do have a shield still, but they are running Water Guns, so we're resisting the Water Guns here, and they are getting fairly low. So my only play here is going to be to bait with the Claw and then somehow make the superpower here. It's going to be very, very close. Our health is getting extremely low. We do make the superpower on like 1 HP. Is this going to be enough? And it is enough, and we live on... That was literally 1 HP. That is probably, honestly, probably one of the more impressive wins. Maybe not my favorite win, but I'm not really sure how I beat a Tapu Fini lead, guys. I'm truly not. Even just watching it now, I definitely should have lost that battle. In this battle, we have a... Was it a Cresselia lead? No, I think they had a Scrafty, and they safe switched into a Cresselia. And this Cresselia, I got a little lucky there. If you look at the Sims, the Aggron actually just narrowly wins against Grass Knot Cresselia in the 1 shield, but this one is running Moonblast and Future Sight. So I think I tried to catch the Moonblast, but the opponent overfarmed. But fortunately, they're not even running Grass Knot, and this is just a super dominant situation for Aggron now. This is the 3rd Future Sight, I believe, that they're getting off here. Yeah, we tank 3. They do aggressively bring back in the Scrafty here, but this is totally fine because the Cresselia is basically dead. Snorlax is going to easily take care of it later on. And this is really just not a good matchup for Scrafty. I think I do respect the foul play here. I do respect it, and I probably will commit to the farm down now. They're not going to make another foul play. And I think they do have a move banked on the Cresselia, but they're going to bring back in the Drapion. Maybe they don't. I don't think they do have a move banked on the Cresselia, but they bring in a Drapion here. I probably could have baited there, but this is looking really good here. I do bank a Claw, so all I really need to do here is get their last shield with the Snorlax. So I think I will... They haven't seen my moveset yet, so I think I do build up to a potential EQ here, because there are some crazy Snorlaxes out there that are running EQ, and they tried to catch there. I also overfarmed there, recognizing they could try to catch, and now I'm going to bait with the Body Slam here, but hoping they expect the Earthquake, and they do shield it, and now all I have to do is do enough damage here to where they're going to be in Dragon Claw range. So I throw the Superpower. In neutral situations, Superpower does do a little bit more damage. it's not more energy efficient than Body Slam, but I knew I had the Claw Bank there, and I think they recognized there they just kind of had to commit to the farm down, and I make a Body Slam and I win anyway. But that game was over as soon as I got their last shield, but well played to the opponent there. And we have a Shadow Gliscor in the next battle, which is pretty neutral. And you guys have seen in neutral situations, you do need to safe switch out of there just to check for a Fighter or a Swampert or a Registeel, or basically, like, again, any of the top 20 meta, because Aggron gets destroyed by all of it. So I will throw my Claw here just before they make their second Night Slash, and then I do catch it onto the Snorlax. And again, Snorlax there is just our third, fourth, and fifth shield. Night Slash does a laughable amount of damage, and they bring in a Walrein here, which is kind of surprising, which tells me maybe they're going to be weakened back to the Snorlax, but you'd think they would want to save that Walrein to potentially line up to the Dragonite, but I am thrilled to have it here because, again, if you look at the Sims, Aggron actually loses to Walrein and Shadow Walrein in the one shield. I'm not sure, I'd have to look, I'm not sure if that is assuming that they bait with an Icicle Spear, but I know that at least one matchup against a regular Walrein, they just went straight EQ. I think they did have a slight energy head start, but they went straight EQ on me, and I wasn't able to farm them down in time before they just made 2 EQs on me. So maybe the Walrein wins in the one shield without even baiting, I'm not sure. But in this matchup here, our Aggron is again into the Trevenant matchup, and this is actually, do I let this go? Yeah, I think I just let this go, realizing that the regular Aggron has a decent amount of bulk to it, so we can take a Shadow Ball. And I think we should be able to farm down, but the opponent tries to catch our move. They're way off, and now this Trevenant's going to get Meteor Beam to the face. We only go for the Nice as well, and it still KOs the Trevenant. So Aggron, for some reason, I saw so many Trevenants. I wasn't expecting to see that many, especially since I got that recent nerf. But yeah, Trevenant was probably one of the more common mons I actually saw. So next battle, another neutral lead against a Shadow Muck. And Shadow Muck, I'm not sure who wins this matchup. I imagine Dragonite probably does, but again, they shield, that's perfect, and again, we're going to just bring in the Snorlax, yeah, we're going to bring the Snorlax in here and just tank all that damage for days. And again, the opponent brings in a Walrein, which is really surprising, but I am, again, more than happy to have this here. And yeah, let's just pretend that we're not paying attention to how many times I'm saying again as well. Unless you guys want to play a fun drinking game where you take a drink every time I say again, you probably would get pretty turned by the end of this video. So, and by the way, if you're under 21, pretend you didn't hear me say that. But we come in here, and I believe that they're only getting to one move, so I do respect the Earthquake. We're going to farm all the way down. We have a shield advantage. What is going to be in the back here? Please be a Charizard, and of course, it's another Trevenant. There's just so many dang Trevenants running around out there. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because people know it got nerfed, so they're not building teams with it in mind. That's my only guess, is maybe people are thinking, like, since they think people aren't going to be running Trevenant, so they're building teams that are weak to it. And then, of course, the smart people out there are running it with that in mind, but who knows? I'm just probably speculating here, but this is actually a nice situation for Aggron. Poison types are another thing that just gets completely wrecked by it. But again, it's the same thing as a Great League Bastiodon. Poison types are going to get completely slaughtered, so we RPS our way through the end game there. And this is a pretty fun battle. We have an XL Blastoise on the lead, and the opponent comes in with a Pidgeot. I catch the move, and it just does not matter what it is, because Aggron is going to completely tank that. Look at that. That's a Brave Bird. Does literally no damage whatsoever. We farm all the way down, and I was expecting in this battle, the opponent is safe swapping a Pidgeot, which clearly is going to get beat by most of the steel types in the meta. So my thinking is they're probably trying to draw out something like a Registeel. So I'm fully expecting there to be something in the back that's even weaker to my Aggron. So I'm actually going to shield it up here and try to farm them all the way down, and they realize what I'm trying to do, and it's a shadow, or it's a regular Alolan Ninetales in the back. And the fact that we're double boosted now on our Meteor Beams allow us to get this thing to nearly half health just from smackdowns, which is completely wild. And here the opponent does something kind of annoying. Rather than just top lefting, they decide to just stop attacking, and they're just going to let me farm them all the way down with fast moves. So yeah, you know what, guys? There is no shame in surrendering. If you know the game's over, just surrender. Don't make me sit there and farm down your whole team. I was thrilled to do it, but you know what? Just top left. I do it all the time. If I know the game's over, there's no shame in top lefting. So next battle, we have a Dragonite Mirror here. So as you guys have seen, I will be catching that damage onto the Snorlax. Snorlax is just a big fluffy damage sponge. We tank it and we draw out a Shadow Machamp. I didn't see too many fighters swap ins to my Snorlax, but Shadow Machamp is by far the most scary, and I don't throw the move there. And if you're, I'm not going to pause it, but if you're wondering why I didn't throw the move there, the Shadow Machamp can actually live one Body Slam. So the reason I don't throw it there is because if I throw the Body Slam right away and they know that they can live it, what they can't actually do is farm me all the way down, tank the move, farm all the way down, and then come out with like at least 2 Cross Chops loaded. And Dragonite doesn't really love Shadow Machamp, to be honest. The Cross Chops add up a ton. As you see, we actually get farmed down by counter there. And now Aggron is going to have to tank like 2 or 3 counters worth of damage. And look at how much damage they do. They get us like, they do like a third of our health there with 3 counters, which is crazy. But fortunately for us, they have another Alolan Ninetales in back. And at that point, I knew their only win con was to catch. So I hang on to my energy and I do force them to surrender there. Let me know in the comments, guys, what does more on an Alolan Ninetales? A single super effective Meteor Beam or a double super effective Heavy Slam? I was thinking about this at the time. I think I would have Heavy Slammed them, but I'm not 100% sure what would have done more. We definitely would have one-shotted them either way, but yeah, let me know in the comments. And next battle here, we had a Shadow Drapion lead. We did get a shield with their Claw, and then for some reason they didn't throw. So we bring in the Snorlax again just to tank all that damage. And they do chip us, which tells me they don't have the best answer to it, but then they brought in the Pidgeot, so I'm not really sure why. I think Pidgeot is such a good answer to Snorlax that they probably could have just immediately brought it into the Snorlax, but they don't. And this is perfect for me because we have an Aggron in the back that just does not care about Pidgeots. And the opponent's going to make a really nice play here. I do wait on my switch clock here, but they make a nice play. They go straight for the Brave Bird, and what this does is it allows them to take less... that's not the right way to put it. It allows them to get farmed down quicker, which makes me get less farm on my Aggron. Because if they Feather Dance me there, I probably get at least 4 or 5 Smackdowns worth of damage in, and I come out with a lot more energy. And that's going to be really crucial for this end game because it's going to be a lot closer. They tried to come in with a Drapion there, but I do get my move off on CMP, and I do just sack the Dragonite at this point. I'm going to give both of my shields to Aggron. And this is going to be very close now that we didn't get too much farm on that Pidgeot. We do make it to the Meteor Beam. At this point, I was thinking that maybe it was just going to come down to fast moves, but Jellicent is just so dang bulky that I don't think we're going to be able to farm them down before they make 3 Surfs. So I do shield the first. They will get to their second here, but my Smackdown does go through. I believe they are at the back-to-back now, but we do win CMP. And despite the fact that this is resisted damage here, we are boosted, and the Heavy Slam does KO. So very close game there. We just barely win there by a CMP tie. And this might be, is this a loss? Yeah, this is the loss. I did lose, like I said, I think I went 15 to 26, so I did lose. But this is just an example of why running Aggron is risky. So we had a Cresselia lead there. We do very nicely catch the Moonblast. I figured they probably were going to want to throw right away. So I catch the Moonblast. They do overfarm massively. They bank a Moonblast, and they bring in a Registeel. So this is looking really rough. I do overfarm basically to 100 energy here. I'm going to get my superpower off, and we do grab a shield from the Reggie, which is massive. And here, guys, is where you're going to see Snorlax is just so good. We get a shield. We get another superpower off. We get the thing to about half health, and it's a CMP tie, which is perfect. So we're going to go down, but Snorlax did its job, got us a shield advantage, got some chip damage, and now Dragonite has a lot of work to do here because this team is fairly weak to Registeel. Dragonite is actually probably our best answer to it. They do no-shield that, and now I'm going to throw the Claw right away just before they get to another move. And I was expecting the Cresselia to come back in here and Moonblast right away, and they do, and that's the second Moonblast that we've caught. But unfortunately, despite our shield advantage, and despite the fact that we caught 2 moves, they have a Shadow Swampert in back, and this is just game over, unfortunately. The Aggron has no play whatsoever against basically their whole back line. The only thing that we could beat with it was the Cresselia, and unfortunately, since we saw it on the lead, there's just really nothing we can do because despite the fact that we're resisting all of Shadow Swampert's moves, Shadow Swampert is just so broken that the Hydro Cannon's still like nearly 2 shots as a Dragonite, which is really, really crazy. And they have shield, so they just shield up. They're going to force my last shield here, and Cresselia is just too thick. I think if we maybe had something like Hurricane, we could have won this battle, but we're not going to make the move. And yeah, I realized that they were basically at another Moonblast, so I surrendered there. Again, nothing wrong with surrendering if you know it's over. But yeah, GG to the opponent there. Nothing really we could have done, I don't think. I think I played that about as good as I could have. And here we have a Shadow Galv. I try to throw on CMP, but the opponent gets a full Volt Switch through, but I'm honestly fine with this because this just means that since they didn't throw on CMP, I can just tank the damage on Snorlax, and that's really all I want to do is just tank it all on Snorlax. And they didn't bait with a lunge as well, which is really nice. And they bring in a Scrafty, and despite the fact that we were below half health, Snorlax is still going to nearly KO this Scrafty. It's absolutely wild. At full health, I believe Snorlax can force a shield against Scrafty. They will just barely live this since they're debuffed, but yeah, if we had full health, the lick damage definitely would have added up enough where they would either have been forced to dump all their energy or we would have gotten a shield from them. And here I make a crazy play. I call the pup bait, and then I was like, surely they're not going to bait me again, but they bait me again, and I call it, and now we still have a shield advantage, and they have a Tapu Fini. So this is going to be pretty tricky here. We at the very least here did give our Aggron a shield advantage, but these water guns are going to do a lot here, and that Galv, I believe, did bank a move. So what you're going to see here is the Meteor Beams and Smackdowns just really do add up. It is no joke, and that is why I really like Meteor Beam, because even though it's expensive, even if they shield it, which they normally do, we still get that guaranteed attack buff, and that allows us to get this thing out of here. And now we're going to get some very valuable Smackdown damage on. But what I realized here is, actually let me rewind that, because that was actually kind of a crazy play. So we're farming down the Tapu Fini here, and I know that the Galv has a move loaded, and I know that the Galv is definitely not going to want to throw its energy on the Aggron. So once I take it out here, I'm thinking that the Galv is going to do one more Volt Switch and then probably win CMP against my Dragonite. So what I do is I don't throw a Smackdown, because if I throw a Smackdown on the Galv, I'm going to be stuck in that Smackdown animation, and that's not going to allow me to switch out in time. So I don't throw it. I'm recognizing the opponent's not going to be coming in and throwing a move right away, so I'm calling that I'm going to be able to switch into my Dragonite in the middle of their Volt Switch and get to the Claw, and that's exactly what happened. So if the opponent would have predicted that I was going to do that, they could have immediately clicked on their charge move anyway, and then won CMP against my Dragonite, and then just farmed down my Aggron. But I make a pretty crazy read there, and I win a very close battle. So next battle, I believe we have 2 left, and they're both going to be against Walreins. Walrein lead is very, very bad for this team. Probably the worst thing we could see, honestly, and the opponent brings in a Charizard. So, of course, this is the core I was really wanting to hunt down, but every time I saw the Charizard and Walrein core, it was Walrein on the lead, and then they brought their dang Charizard into my Snorlax safe swap. So the Aggron basically doesn't get to face the Charizard or the Walrein, which is just super annoying. So again, you're seeing Snorlax is just incredibly good. We're going to force a shield from the Charizard, and I believe they did bait, and I called it as well. Definitely shouldn't be baiting Snorlaxes, guys. They're just too thick, and I believe if this is a Claw, will we live this actually? No, we don't live it, but we did get a shield advantage. That's all I care about. I'm not going to bring in the Aggron because I don't want to reveal my last Pokemon. I bring back in the Dragonite. I tried to catch an Icicle Spear, but I'm unsuccessful, and the opponent has another Trevenant back. And despite the fact that this is a tricky lead for us, Aggron is going to call the bait. We're going to Meteor Beam the Trevenant, and do they respect this? I'm expecting them to shield this. They don't want to take the Smackdown damage on the Walrein, and now we're actually going to 2-shield flex on this opponent because I can let my Aggron go now. I can come in with the Dragonite, fully farm down, and then we can superpower the Walrein. And the Walrein has to get to 3 Icicle Spears or farm me down. And here I make a bit of a mistake. Really, what I should have done is just massively overfarm and then superpower. Because as you see, I debuff myself, and then I'm forced to go for another Claw, when all I needed to do is probably just do like 5 or 6 more Claws and then superpower to guarantee the KO. But either way, we had enough health where it didn't really matter. And into the final battle, absolutely crazy. We have another Walrein lead. They stay in, they chip us, and then they're going to be safe switching out of here, excuse me. And what are they going to be bringing in here? And it's a Tapu Fini. And you guys have already seen Tapu Fini is really bad for this team. Yeah, Snorlax is our only answer. So at the very least, they're bringing it in here, but this is going to be very difficult to flip, considering that all we have in the back are things that can take super effective from it. So I actually let it go. I was hoping that by letting it go, they would let my next Body Slam go, and they do let it go. So at the very least, we are getting it low, and I will force a shield here, but they're going to farm me all the way down, and they are going to have a Moonblast loaded. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm thinking that they're going to throw the Moonblast as soon as they see the Dragonite, so I bring it in, and then I instantly bring in the Aggron, and we catch the Moonblast, and they have a Trevenant in the back, and you guys have already seen this. The Aggron is actually a pretty decent answer to Trevenant. They do bait. I had 2 shields. I was fully expecting them to bait, and I think if they shield this up, the Dragonite just might be able to sweep, but they do let it go, and now our Dragonite has a lot of work to do. They bring in the Fini here, but I do farm it down, and now I think I will actually commit a shield here on the Aggron because our Smackdowns are boosted. They're going to do so much damage, and I do make a move, and now I will be able to force their last shield here, and now all Dragonite has to do is come in here and get to 1 claw before they make the back-to-back, and they just made the back-to-back, and we win CMP, and that is going to be a good game. So, crazy catch there. The instant swap after the opponent sees the Mon, he wasn't fast enough to react, and we take the dub. So, very good games there. Hope you guys enjoyed the battles. This, again, is definitely more of a spice team. It is accessible. I do think that Dragonite and Snorlax are both really, really good Mons. You should definitely build them if you haven't. But Aggron is probably one that you could avoid. There's just better steel types. Registeel's better. Cobalion's better. There's just a lot of things better than it that you could probably invest your dust and resources into. But either way, I still had a lot of fun using it. So thank you guys for watching. By the way, I do want to make a couple quick announcements. If you don't want to listen to them, that's pretty much it for the video. So you can just turn your YouTube app off if you want. But first announcement is, since I am now monetized, I'm past 1K subscribers, I am having a lot more trouble finding music that is basically free to play on YouTube. A lot of the bands I was using before I was monetized allowed their music to be used when you're not making a profit on your videos. But now that I am, albeit it's a very small profit, it's just very difficult to find copyright-free music or music that allows or bands that allow their music to be played. So I'm going to do my best to bring you guys good music, but I'm just warning you now, I'm probably going to have to repeat some bands just because my options are very narrow. But anyway, second announcement is, if you guys have not submitted any battles for the top wins of June, make sure you do that. We do have like another week and a half or so of June, but I will be putting together another spicy wins compilation at the end of the month. You don't have to necessarily submit me a spicy win, but just make sure that it's actually impressive. If you send me in like a hard counter lead where you say are running a Metacham into a Bastiodon and you hard counter the opponent, that doesn't really count. But if you're running, say, a Metacham and the opponent has something like a Trevenant on the lead and you manage to make a crazy play and win the battle, you can definitely send me that. So doesn't matter the league, just send me your best wins and I will make a fun compilation here in about a week and a half. So anyway, guys, before this gets any longer, let's just end the video. Thank you for all your support. I really do appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel, if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, because the more subscribers we can get, the more Pokemon my wife will let me play.